I'm Sergey, and today we're going to focus on things that can more or less explain the essence of why we sometimes present ourselves as narcissistic victims in someone's eyes. The first question is, why does this happen regularly? It often makes us dependent on many factors, such as environmental clashes, a lack of healthy self esteem, or the failure of partnerships. In other words, we tend to blame anyone who more or less tends to threaten our sense of security with their loud voice. We react angrily, as if someone has just committed a crime, by expressing their own point of view. Well, we can perceive a threat as something that was supposed to be accepted immediately, and anything that can't withstand any protest makes us feel stressed out. If our position as victims regarding someone's opinion or action does not change the perception of healthy criticism itself, there is no way to attract more people around who would have compassion for seeing you in such a position, let's say, as an unhappy traveler. Whenever we blame someone, it makes us prisoners of our own insecurity. So, who really cares how many dollars are missing from your pocket to buy a dream house? It's up to you to victimize your well being or simply try to improve it by performing your daily tasks properly and diligently. Who cares if you have had a bad relationship with many mistakes committed? Life doesn't define you. You are only the person who defines it. Looking back at my own background, I was that person who complained about many things, attributing my responsibilities to others, trying to justify my actions and making excuses for silly mistakes in relationships. I used to consider my weaknesses as a specific shape that no one could withstand. I was constantly looking for excuses to avoid responsibilities and to escape struggle. But that was the only thing that held me down over and over again until I realized that the only obstacle I encountered on my way was myself, my ignorance, and my stupidity to accept the obvious, that I'm no longer that capricious silly boy. And then I immediately made up my mind to stop complaining, to stop making excuses, and to stop blaming others. Today is the day of your new life, when everything you were attached to no longer makes any sense. Forgiveness is a key. We're all humans, and no one has managed to walk this path without making mistakes. I've accepted my failures and learned from my mistakes. Every mistake is a stepping stone toward a better future. So if you have a fight with your girlfriend, don't rush to blame her. She's responsible for her attitude just as you are for yours. Try to work on your own part first before pointing fingers. You know, most of us are concerned with living a healthy life and enjoying its fruits, as well as avoiding challenges that hinder your self development. If you feel tired or frustrated with your partner, look inside your heart to see a bunch of unresolved issues waiting for their turn to come to the surface. These issues, once they make their appearance in the spotlight, can remind you of your past, like well forgotten memories. You have to choose, who would you rather be? The person filled with anger and complaints, or a stoic individual who fearlessly moves forward toward a new life. Now, after receiving some guidance, it's time to look inward and begin following a new path, one filled with challenges that you will need to handle. Life is not a carefree resort. It requires patience, strength, and time. But as soon as you commit to this journey, you can become a better version of yourself. Starting today, allow yourself to be responsible for every action you take, less blaming others around you. The strategy is supposed to include 3 steps toward your behavior's change and improving your habits. Before looking for someone to blame, look around. You might find that the only obstacle is yourself. Stumbling over every stone along your path. Start working on your discipline to improving your self-growth journey and make your life more vibrant and colorful. Don't ignore constructive criticism. If someone points out your, let's say, shortcomings, calmly consider it an opportunity to change the course of action you have been following. Every encouragement can be seen as one step closer to climbing this high mountain. Avoid judging others who may mistrust you or show disrespect, perhaps simply because they are following their own principles. Remember, no one is perfect. The best transformation begins the moment you decide to change yourself for the better. So, don't delay. Get to work now. There are many things you need to do immediately. Accept your shortcomings and take the first step toward a new life filled with joy. Life is a continuous journey of growth, and part of that journey involves accepting our failures and learning from our mistakes. Every stumble, every misstep holds valuable lessons that can propel us toward a better future. In relationships, conflicts are inevitable, but how we respond to them defines us. When disagreements arise, it's natural to feel tempted to assign blame. However, true growth comes from introspection. Instead of rushing to blame your partner, take a moment to reflect on your own attitude and actions. Remember, your partner is responsible for your attitude just as you are for yours. Before pointing fingers, ask yourself what you can do to improve the situation from your side. Often misunderstandings and disagreements can be resolved more effectively when both parts focus on self-improvement and understanding rather than blame. Try to bring fresh ideas on how to manage the situation carefully. Sometimes we have to compromise on our comfort or habits to improve our relationship. But there are some exceptions. When you can't compromise on certain principles or values, right? In those cases, things turn out differently. I'm just implying that before dealing with such issues, you need to be able to set healthy boundaries in a relationship. For example, if you want me to go along with your ideas, okay, I'll try. But first, let's look at it more deeply. I think there are some of your insights I can't accept because they conflict with my principles and values. Or if you think I should have behaved more gently at your mother's birthday, fine. Let's talk about it. And maybe there are some things that need clarification. It's simple, man. Everything in this world sometimes needs to be negotiated. By taking responsibility for for your part, you create space for genuine communication, healing, and progress. This mindset not only strengthens your relationship, but also fosters personal growth. Embrace your mistakes as opportunities to become a better version of yourself and encourage your partner to do the same. Together, you can build a foundation based on mutual respect, understanding, and continuous self improvement. What holds you back from being brave and responsible for your own actions to catch your destiny by its tail, so to speak? You know, there are many undiscovered things, right, following you since childhood, creating numerous obstacles along your way. Stop dealing with them. You know that our shortcomings are the best way to explore our weaknesses and turn them into strengths. Never blame others if they have treated you badly, whether intentionally or unintentionally. The way they show you disrespect highlights their own insecurities. Don't write your faults off onto someone standing nearby. Instead, look inside yourself. Gather the courage to admit your failures, like a stoic man standing in front of a river, watching carefully as trash appears from nowhere and disappears into nowhere. Your life is the same. You know that if you are not brave enough to admit your shortcomings, you will always lose. Try to move forward, whatever it might cost you. Keep your back straight and look positively into your near future filled with joy and happiness.